The California evening was illuminated by the glittering display of camera flashes. Prestigious vehicles arrived in succession at the Pago's hotel entrance, renowned as one of the city's most distinguished establishments. The entertainment industry's most influential figures, celebrities, business tycoons, and media moguls, proceeded along the red carpet under the vigilant observation of journalists and photographers. To the public, it appeared as merely another extravagant Hollywood gathering. For Barbara Roberts, aged 68, it was simply another work shift. While attendees enjoyed fine champagne and sampled sophisticated appetizers, Barbara and her fellow maintenance staff moved unobtrusively through the establishment's concealed corridors, ensuring immaculate cleanliness throughout. She wore the standard Navy uniform and managed a cart stocked with cleaning supplies. A portable radio accompanied her as usual, though her thoughts dwelled elsewhere tonight. At a considerable distance, in a modest residence, her 9-year-old grandson Oliver remained hospitalized, battling a rare medical condition that restricted his physical activities. His greatest solace came from cinematic entertainment, with Leonardo DiCaprio serving as his primary inspiration. The boy harbored one significant aspiration: to acquire Leonardo's personal signature. His words continued to resonate in Barbara's memory. "Grandma, do you promise? If you ever encounter him, will you request an autograph for me?" Barbara typically avoided commitments she couldn't fulfill. However, witnessing the hopeful gleam in her grandson's expression that day, she took an unusual risk. "I promise, my love. Should I ever meet him, I'll bring you his autograph." Now Leonardo DiCaprio stood mere steps away, having just arrived at the function, maintaining his characteristic composure and dignity. His attire, an impeccable formal suit, distinguished him not through ostentation but through natural elegance and modesty. Unlike many celebrities, he exhibited neither impatience nor haste. Barbara observed from a distance, attempting to ignore her accelerated heartbeat. "This is my opportunity," she contemplated. She reached into her apron pocket, feeling the small notebook Oliver had filled with illustrations, leaving a single blank space reserved for his hero's signature. The moment for fulfilling her promise had arrived. Yet Barbara remained unaware that this simple action would dramatically alter her circumstances. She reached into her pocket, feeling Oliver's notebook. "Tonight, I honor my commitment," she thought, unaware of the consequences that would follow. Barbara positioned herself at the grand hall's periphery, clutching the small notebook within her apron pocket. Her heart pounded forcefully against her ribcage as profound anxiety circulated within her. She observed Leonardo DiCaprio navigating through the crowd, pausing occasionally to acknowledge individuals with his characteristic amiability. He engaged genuinely in conversations rather than hurriedly dismissing people as some celebrities might. Nevertheless, doubt infiltrated Barbara's consciousness. What if they dismiss me? What if my employment is terminated? She had maintained her position at the Pagos for nearly 3 decades, consistently remaining inconspicuous, cleaning after the affluent and famous. The implicit regulation had always been evident: staff must never engage with guests. Her fingers tightened around the notebook's edges. But what if I don't proceed? What if I retreat and disappoint Oliver? She visualized her grandson, his fragile physique beneath hospital linens, his eyes radiant with anticipation. She recalled his enthusiastic voice discussing Leonardo DiCaprio and imagining an encounter with him. This mental image provided Barbara with sufficient determination. After a profound inhalation and a step forward, she navigated through elegantly attired guests, cautiously avoiding attention while approaching Leonardo. He had just concluded a conversation with associates and now stood beside the bar, consuming water. Her moment had arrived. Barbara's hands trembled as she withdrew the notebook and held it against her chest. She attempted to speak but found her voice failing. "No, Barbara, do this for Oliver," she encouraged herself. Another breath, then finally she addressed him. "Mr. DiCaprio, please excuse the interruption." Leonardo turned, his gentle expression revealing curiosity rather than annoyance. "I don't mean to disturb you, but my grandson admires you tremendously. He's been unwell for an extended period, and your films hold immense significance for him. She hesitated momentarily, then presented the notebook with both hands. I assured him that if given the opportunity, I would obtain your autograph. Would you consider signing this for him? A brief silence followed. Barbara held her breath. Then a warm smile appeared on Leonardo's face. Certainly, he responded softly. What is his name? Oliver. Leonardo accepted the notebook and examined the pages. His expression showed appreciation upon viewing Oliver's drawings, detailed sketches of characters. He demonstrates remarkable talent, Leonardo commented, visibly moved. Barbara felt emotional constraint in her throat. She watched as Leonardo carefully inscribed a message, to Oliver, "Keep dreaming big with love, Leonardo DiCaprio." He completed his signature with an elegant flourish, closed the notebook, and returned it to her. Please inform Oliver of his exceptional abilities and encourage his continued artistic development. Barbara felt tears forming. Thank you. You cannot comprehend what this means to him. It's my privilege, Leonardo replied with acknowledgement before someone else requested his attention. Barbara clutched the notebook against her chest, feeling elated. She had fulfilled her promise. However, as she turned to depart, a stern voice interrupted the moment. Barbara, we require immediate discussion. She froze, instantly recognizing her supervisor's voice. Barbara examined the autograph with satisfaction. But before she could secure it, a cold voice reached her. May we converse momentarily? A chill traversed Barbara's spine. Gradually, she turned to confront the voice's source. Her supervisor stood there, arms crossed, sharp gaze filled with disapproval. He was in his mid-50s, consistently dressed in formal attire and constantly vigilant. Barbara had never appreciated his presence. He treated maintenance personnel as though they were imperceptible unless he required something. Currently, however, he observed her with evident displeasure. Follow me, he instructed emotionlessly. Barbara's heart raced. The joyful moment had disintegrated completely. She regarded the notebook in her possession, Leonardo's message to Oliver radiating hope. Please, don't deprive me of this, she thought. She accompanied Smith through a lateral corridor, away from the event, until reaching a small service passageway. The environment featured bare walls and dimmer illumination, beyond visibility. Smith confronted her. What were your intentions out there? Barbara hesitated. I merely requested an autograph, sir. It was intended for my grandson. That's irrelevant, Smith interrupted sharply. You understand regulations, Barbara. Employees must not interact with guests. Your tenure here should ensure your awareness of this, but No justifications, he continued, his countenance remaining impassive. You've placed me in a challenging position. If this violation goes unaddressed, other staff might assume they can approach guests similarly. I cannot permit such behavior. Barbara experienced internal distress. Sir, I've served here for nearly 3 decades. I've never requested accommodations. I've never violated regulations. It was merely a modest favor, just a signature for my grandson. Please. His expression remained unchanged. You should have considered consequences before disregarding policy. Barbara clenched her fists, suppressing tears. She desired confrontation. She wanted to protest the injustice. But what recourse did she have? She was merely a cleaner. Smith inhaled slowly, then pronounced with absolute finality the words she most dreaded, collect your belongings, your employment is terminated. The statement affected her physically, dismissed for requesting an autograph. Her legs weakened, but she maintained composure. Please, Mr. Smith, this position constitutes my entire livelihood. That consideration should have preceded your regulatory violation. His voice lacked compassion. Barbara swallowed difficulty. She could implore. She could entreat. But she recognized the futility. His decision was irrevocable. Slowly, she nodded, her fingers tightening around the notebook. Understood. Without additional commentary, she departed. She didn't await escort, she wouldn't provide him satisfaction by witnessing her distress. However, upon exiting the Pagos, the cold night atmosphere struck her forcefully. Everything she had worked for, gone. She wandered through streets, gripping the notebook desperately. Tears threatened, but she refused surrender. She contemplated Oliver. How would she explain? How could she justify losing her employment, their sole income source, merely for attempting to bring him happiness? Her hands trembled. She observed the autograph, to Oliver, "Keep dreaming big with love, Leonardo DiCaprio." A message offering hope, but at considerable expense. Barbara inhaled deeply, fortifying herself. She wouldn't allow this to destroy her. She would secure alternative employment. She would devise a solution. But Barbara remained unaware that her narrative remained incomplete. Because within the hotel, someone had discovered the incident. And that individual was Leonardo DiCaprio. Barbara held the notebook firmly, contemplating the streets before her. She had no knowledge that inside the establishment, Leonardo had just learned the truth. Within the Pagos, festivities continued. Glassware clinked, laughter permeated the atmosphere, and Hollywood's prestigious figures enjoyed luxury. Leonardo DiCaprio remained temporarily unaware. He engaged in discussion with the director when a nervous voice interrupted, "Mr. DiCaprio, I must inform you of something." Leonardo turned to observe a waiter, a young man in his 20s, shifting uncomfortably. He surveyed surroundings, ensuring privacy. "It concerns the woman who requested your autograph." Leonardo's expression became concerned. "The cleaning lady?" The waiter confirmed with a nod. "They dismissed her for that action, sir." Leonardo's entire demeanor transformed instantly. "What?" Warmth in his face yielded to controlled anger. The waiter nodded rapidly, speaking quietly. "She violated protocol by addressing guests. Her supervisor witnessed the interaction and immediately terminated her employment. She departed minutes ago." Leonardo's jaw tightened. He ran fingers through his hair, inhaling deeply to manage frustration. "She merely requested an autograph for her grandson." "I recognize that," the waiter responded, his voice reflecting disbelief. "It's unjust." Leonardo concurred. It wasn't merely unjust, it was cruel. He recalled signing the notebook. He had observed Barbara's trembling hands, her eyes conveying something beyond admiration, desperate desire to bring joy to a loved one. And now this action had cost her livelihood? Leonardo wasn't inclined toward inaction. He straightened, decision made. "Where is the manager?" The waiter indicated the ballroom's distant section. Leonardo proceeded without hesitation. With determined strides, he navigated through attendees. People noticed. Conversations paused. Gazes followed him. Leonardo DiCaprio typically avoided causing disruption, but something significant was imminent. Leonardo's expression darkened upon locating the hotel manager. This situation demanded resolution tonight. Leonardo DiCaprio wasn't associated with disruptive behavior. He never sought attention or created disturbances. But this circumstance differed fundamentally. His purposeful steps carried him toward Mr. Smith, the hotel supervisor responsible for Barbara's dismissal. Smith engaged with a wealthy attendee when noticing Leonardo's approach. His courteous smile faltered momentarily but quickly masked with professional indifference. "Mr. DiCaprio, what an honor. May I assist you?" Leonardo dispensed with courtesies. "I've been informed about the cleaning lady who requested my autograph." Smith tensed slightly but maintained neutral expression. "Yes, she was dismissed. Unfortunately, staff members are prohibited from guest interaction." It's protocol. Leonardo's gaze intensified. Protocol, he repeated calmly, though with evident edge. A woman with nearly 2 decades of service here was terminated. For requesting an autograph, a simple courtesy. Smith's expression remained vacant. Regulations exist purposefully, Mr. DiCaprio. Permitting one employee's violation encourages others. The establishment must maintain professionalism. Leonardo approached closer. His voice lowered but gained authority. Tell me something, Mr. Smith. Do you believe that represented appropriate action? Smith hesitated fractionally. It's not about personal opinion, sir. It concerns company policy. Leonardo's lips compressed. Around them, people became attentive. Conversations diminished. Observers turned toward them. The gala intended to celebrate generosity and charity. Yet here was an establishment dismissing an elderly cleaner over something inconsequential. Leonardo recognized hypocrisy plainly, as did others. Murmurs spread throughout attendees. People whispered inquiries about Leonardo DiCaprio's involvement. A reporter, sensing developing circumstances, discreetly raised his camera. Leonardo inhaled deeply, his expression softening slightly. Listen, I comprehend regulations. I understand establishments require order, but I cannot comprehend punishing someone for demonstrating humanity. Smith remained silent. Leonardo crossed arms. She wasn't making personal requests. She acted for her ill grandson. A nearby woman gasped. Additional whispers arose as more observers redirected attention. Smith shifted uncomfortably. I apologize, Mr. DiCaprio, but my decision remains. Leonardo's expression darkened. He never employed fame for preferential treatment, but tonight he would make exception. Then I suppose I must address this personally. Smith frowned. Pardon? Leonardo turned away, retrieving his phone. The entire assembly observed silently as he typed. Less than 60 seconds later, he looked up, expression unreadable. I've just published commentary about this incident. I wonder how public opinion will regard an establishment dismissing elderly employees for demonstrating kindness. Smith's complexion paled instantly. Attendees retrieved phones. Some guests had already viewed the post. It disseminated rapidly. Smith's jaw clenched. He had erred significantly. Smith's gaze traversed the room, acknowledging numerous observers. The impact of Leonardo's words and influence would transform everything. Mr. Smith's face lost color as realization emerged. This wasn't merely an internal matter anymore. Leonardo DiCaprio had publicized it. Guests conversed among themselves, phones displayed, reviewing the actor's post. Some began whispering. Others observed Smith directly, expressions transitioning from curiosity to judgment. Smith swallowed forcefully. He had witnessed public relations disasters previously, but never had one unfolded so rapidly, directly before him. Mr. DiCaprio, he stammered, his previously confident voice now reflecting panic. I'm confident we can resolve this. Leonardo, still holding his phone, raised an eyebrow. I fully anticipate that. Smith hesitated, surveying the room. Some guests had initiated recording. No escape existed. With forced smile, he adjusted his tie and inhaled sharply. Perhaps our actions were precipitous. Let's discuss resolution. Leonardo's expression remained inscrutable. First, contact Barbara. Apologize and restore her position. Smith winced but nodded. Certainly, immediately. Barbara continued walking through cold streets, clutching the notebook desperately. She hadn't informed Oliver, how could she? Her thoughts formed an emotional whirlwind, grief, anger, but predominantly fear. Without employment, how would she maintain medical expenses, hospital visits, rent? Her phone rang, interrupting contemplation. She frowned at the displayed number. The hotel was calling. Momentarily, she considered ignoring it. But with a sigh, she answered. "Barbara, it's Mr. Smith," came the voice. Her stomach tightened. "What do you want?" she inquired, her voice steadier than anticipated. Extended pause, then finally, "We made an error. We request your return." Barbara nearly stumbled mid-step. "What?" Smith cleared his throat, his typical coldness replaced by apparent regret. "We overreacted. We'd like to reinstate your position and, naturally, compensate for inconvenience." Barbara blinked, thoroughly astonished. Then realization emerged. This wasn't from sudden moral reconsideration. This resulted from Leonardo's intervention. Warmth spread through her chest. She exhaled sharply, gripping the phone. "I'll arrive shortly." Barbara hesitated before entering. The same doors through which she had exited humiliated now welcomed her as though nothing had transpired. She expected diminishment. She expected shame. But upon entry, unexpected response occurred, people applauded. She froze. Staff, waiters, guests, all applauded her. She turned, completely bewildered, as Leonardo approached, his expression gentle. "Welcome back, Barbara," he said softly. Her hands trembled. She observed the crowd, then returned attention to him. "Mr. DiCaprio, I lack appropriate words." Leonardo smiled. "Then remain silent, simply accept this." He extended an envelope. Barbara's eyes widened. With hesitant fingers, she accepted and opened it, anticipating perhaps correspondence or note. Instead, her breath caught. Inside was a check, a substantial check. She gasped, hand covering mouth. This exceeds reasonable boundaries." Leonardo shook head. "It's designated for Oliver. Medical expenses, necessities. No conditions attached." Tears formed in her eyes. She couldn't believe it. The man she had admired distantly, her grandson's hero, had just transformed her life. And Leonardo hadn't concluded. "I have one additional item." He produced a small envelope and presented it. Barbara's hands shook while opening it. Inside were 2 VIP tickets for his forthcoming movie premiere. "I'd appreciate your and Oliver's attendance." The cumulative impact affected her profoundly. She had lost everything tonight. Yet somehow, she had gained immeasurably more. Tears flowed freely. "Thank you from my deepest heart." Leonardo simply smiled. "Gratitude is unnecessary. Just inform Oliver I anticipate meeting him." Barbara held tickets, overwhelmed emotionally. But she remained unaware that this narrative remained incomplete. Because soon, the entire world would learn of these events. Barbara departed the Pagos that night feeling incredibly lightened. She clutched 2 unexpected items, a check that would transform her grandson's circumstances and VIP tickets for meeting his hero. She had entered as an invisible cleaner. She departed as someone who had touched Leonardo DiCaprio's heart. But Barbara remained unaware that her story already disseminated rapidly. By her arrival home, exhausted but hopeful, something remarkable was occurring. Leonardo DiCaprio's social media post regarding the incident had achieved viral status. News organizations had reported the story within hours. Headlines dominated internet platforms. Leonardo DiCaprio defends hotel worker dismissed over autograph request. Grandmother fired for requesting Leonardo DiCaprio's autograph. His response will move you to tears. Hashtag Justice for Barbara trends globally after Leonardo criticizes hotel. Internet response exploded. People inundated the Pagos website and social media demanding explanations. How can you dismiss someone for such minor kindness? Leonardo DiCaprio demonstrates exemplary character and this establishment should feel ashamed. She served there 30 years and received such treatment, disgraceful. Backlash manifested immediately. Within 24 hours, the hotel issued public apology, claiming misunderstanding and reviewing internal policies to ensure employee fairness. But public opinion had solidified. Damage was irreversible. Barbara sat on her modest couch, still processing everything. She had just informed Oliver about the events, about Leonardo, the autograph, and the incredible gift. The boy, still weakened from illness, clutched the signed notebook as though it were invaluable treasure. "Grandma, I will meet Leonardo DiCaprio?" he asked, voice barely audible. Barbara stroked his hair, smiling despite exhaustion. "Yes, my love, you will." Sudden knocking startled both. Barbara hesitated before rising. She anticipated no visitors. Upon opening the door, her heart nearly stopped. Outside stood journalists with cameras. "Mrs., may we speak with you?" one asked. "How do you feel about Leonardo DiCaprio's assistance? What message would you share with the world?" Barbara's eyes widened. She had lived entirely in obscurity, unseen and unheard. Now suddenly, worldwide attention focused on her narrative. She hesitated, uncertain how to respond. Then, slowly, she looked back inside, where Oliver sat embracing his precious autograph, face radiant with joy. That represented all that mattered. She inhaled deeply, stepped forward and spoke. "I simply wish to express gratitude to Leonardo, to everyone demonstrating kindness. And I hope this reminds people that sometimes minimal kindness can transform existence." Reporters documented furiously, cameras flashing, the world listened. Barbara never expected public attention. But now her story spread faster than imaginable. And soon, it would reach someone entirely unexpected. The subsequent days differed completely from Barbara's previous experience. She had spent decades unnoticed in society that overlooked people like her, cleaners, workers, invisible hands maintaining operational systems. But now the world recognized her name. Barbara's story transcended lost employment or celebrity kindness, it symbolized something greater. It represented humanity in an often indifferent world. Internet discussion continued with supportive messages, outrage, and admiration. Leonardo DiCaprio repeatedly demonstrates superior human qualities. This narrative moved me to tears. We require increased kindness globally. Barbara represents millions of hardworking individuals. Let's remember to appreciate them. Then something unanticipated developed. A campaign initiated by a stranger moved by Barbara's circumstances. "Let's provide Barbara and Oliver deserved quality of life," the campaign stated. Within days, donations arrived globally, $10, $50, $500. People contributed according to capacity. By week's end, the campaign had accumulated over $150,000. Barbara felt overwhelmed. "I cannot adequately express gratitude," she stated in brief video, restraining tears. "This exceeded all expectations, but I promise every cent supports Oliver's care." When the movie premiere arrived, Oliver barely contained excitement. Dressed in miniature formal attire, he held firmly to his grandmother's hand while proceeding along the red carpet, surrounded by flashing cameras and cheering supporters. And then he appeared. Leonardo DiCaprio stood at the carpet's conclusion, awaiting them, broadly smiling. Oliver froze incredulously. Leonardo knelt, extending arms. "Come here, young man." Oliver ran directly into embrace. Barbara watched, tears descending, as her grandson hugged his hero, not merely actor but individual who had transformed their lives. Leonardo examined the notebook again, reviewing Oliver's illustrations. "You know, I might require your character designs for my next production." Oliver's eyes expanded with astonishment. "Truly?" Leonardo grinned. "Absolutely." That evening, Barbara sat beside Oliver in premiere seating, viewing the film not merely as enthusiasts but as special invitees. As lights dimmed and the movie commenced, she inhaled deeply, finally allowing emotional release. She had entered that hotel as mere cleaner. She departed as grandmother who had influenced the world simply by honoring commitment. Ultimately, it transcended fame. It transcended finances. It concerned kindness. Because occasionally, one small compassionate act generates effects extending beyond imagination. Thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoy this video and learned a lesson. I would be grateful for your likes. Also don't forget to subscribe and comment on the video. See you soon.